Last month I had 27,000 text messages, and that's like, I think 900 a day.
I tell him to stop, but he won't listen. Video games is on his head all the time.
I've grown up with the internet. It's always been a part of my life. I can definitely say I'm probably obsessed with the internet.
It's like trying to stop a tsunami with a bunch of sandbags.
There's a battle going on in classrooms across the country. It's a battle over the mind of the American high school student.
We're competing for students' attention in an outside world that gives them instant gratification.
This is Matt Richtel of the New York Times. For the last 4 months, I have wandered the campus here at Woodside High School in the heart of Silicon Valley, trying to grasp the massive shift taking place at the intersection of education and technology.
The old traditional way of, I'm the teacher, I have knowledge, I'm standing in front of you, you're a receptor, and I'm going to lecture at you and fill you with knowledge. That is an antiquated formula.
Cell phones, Facebook, and video games are an integral part of many students' lives. But we are only beginning to understand how these technologies condition young people to expect immediate gratification and constant stimulation, and give them a kind of intoxication that comes from getting constant bursts of information.
I think the fact that my mind knows that the information is there, it just wants to get more, and it knows that there's nothing stopping me from doing that.
I could really be enjoying a book, but then in the back of my mind there's this sense that I want to switch back to the phone for a minute.
I remember when I was in like 6th grade, I only had an email, and it was slow response. You'd send an email, and then 2 days later you'd get one back. But now it's like, oh, I can get a text back in a minute.
Initially, Woodside, like other schools, tried to restrict all use of cell phones on campus.
I got to a point walking through campus where I couldn't get from point A to point B without confiscating 15 phones. And my interactions with students were very negative. I mean, taking a cell phone away from a teenager is like taking a limb.
And so, like schools across the country, Woodside is struggling to find a balance between the thrill of immediate gratification and the rigor and discipline of traditional education.
We are using technology in a way to capture students' imagination and get them to engage. And then once they're engaged, they start to see the connections to the traditional disciplines, and then it starts to catch.
At Woodside, educators are trying to meet kids on their own technological turf and to teach them with 21st century tools. In this respect, computers are both the enemy and the great ally. But educators have less control when the students are left at home to their own devices. Students like Vishal Singh.
Last night, I just could not focus. I'm trying to do a bunch of schoolwork. I kept on just opening the internet, just looking up something to the point where I slowly get sidetracked and be like half an hour later and I'd not have typed anything.
What's that literary device called?
Vishal is doing poorly in school. Last semester, his grade point average was 2.3. A disappointment to his mother and to teachers who say his performance doesn't reflect his keen intellect.
We've always stressed to both our kids that college was not an option. You would go to college. Probably last year I realized he's not going to do well in a traditional college. He won't survive it. He'll quit school. And that wouldn't be the best for him because I don't think his mind works that way, learning from a book.
But while technology distracts Vishal from doing his schoolwork, it may also be the key to his aspirations to be a filmmaker and to pursue subjects he finds interesting, even if they aren't assigned in class.
I've learned some really complex programs that just took a lot of effort to just figure out, and this is complex and this is hard work, but it's going to pay off for what I want to do as a profession.
Maybe Vishal doesn't have the balance down, maybe he's not getting the GPA that he should given his intellect. But there was a trade-off there. Instead of doing his math homework or his essay that's due the next day, he's doing his film. Do I worry about a student like Vishal? I don't. I don't worry about that student. He is going to turn out just fine.